Hi everyone, John Cottrell here of MBODY Yoga, and this is Soft Flow Yoga. Thanks for joining me. In our practice today, we're going to focus on our shoulders. I really like doing shoulders because I think we underappreciate what our shoulders can do as far as movement, mobility, flexibility, strength. So we're going to tap into all of those things in our practice. So we do need some props. I would suggest a couple of yoga blocks or some hardbound books. We use that for some particular poses. So if you've got something like that that's stackable, firm, and supportive, go ahead and grab those. And something soft to sit on and or kneel on. I like to use a blanket. You can double up on yoga mats or a towel, something like that, but something soft. And I have my bolster here, and it's just a big pillow to have. You don't have to have one, but sometimes it's just nice to sit on or even use it at your Shavasana practice. As always, we like to begin in seated, so do find a comfortable seat, maybe on your pillow or a folded blanket or towel. We're going to start with a few deep breaths, just to get settled into our space to begin our practice. So a nice full breath in, and exhale through your mouth with a nice sigh, and just feel that release. I really like that very initial movement and motion because we hold a lot of tension in our shoulders. And with that sigh, you can start to feel that release from the shoulders. Let's do that again. A nice full breath in and exhale. Very good. You can do that a few more times if you like, and then just settle into slow, steady breaths. Breathing in and out, just intentional breathing. I like to call this our breathing meditation, a way to get settled in the moment and just be more present and aware. Breathe in a way where you can feel your breath. Notice how your body is responding to your breath. That could simply be the rise and fall of your chest or your belly. And if you want, you can add the shoulders. You might even inhale and shrug your shoulders and just have that awareness of tightness or tension that we hold in our necks, shoulders, backs. And when you exhale, the release. Notice how your body is responding to your breath. Wonderful. Another way to be more in tune with your body and your breath is to take a nice full breath in and fill up your lungs. And as you exhale, draw your belly button in towards your spine, just a light pull. It's the light contraction of your abdominal muscles. We call this the abdominal lock. It's a way of supporting yourself. Even seated, you want to be able to sit up nice and tall. And so there's a natural engagement of your core system, but we're just activating that a little bit more and just bringing more awareness to that sensation. Again, breathing in, fill up your lungs. Exhale, draw belly in. And one last thing. Listen to the sound of your breath. Now that we can feel the breath, turn up the volume of your breath. Our breathing meditation. Good. Let's take 3 more breaths like this. We'll add a very simple movement. This is our moving meditation. When you're ready, inhale, extend your arms out across the room, reach and stretch. Continue the breath in as you reach all the way up towards the ceiling. And exhale, continue to extend the arms, then reach out and let the arms float back down by your side. Do that again. Inhale, reach out and all the way up. Exhale, reach out and all the way back down. Now go ahead and breathe and move at your own pace. And as you're doing so, pay attention to your shoulders. They allow us to raise our arms overhead. And you might even just notice the palms turned up as you bring the arms up. Palms face each other at the top. As you exhale, you're going to turn the palms out and then down, but that's really a rotation in the shoulders here. So really paying attention. What's happening with our arms, shoulders, but then right down to the hands and fingers. Let's do a few more. When you inhale, just feel the lifting and lengthening through the sides of your body as we reach up. The movement of your breath. Don't forget to connect to your core center as you exhale, the abdominal lock. And of course, the mobility of the shoulders. Now, finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more breaths. Very good. And when you're complete, just let your arms relax and notice how the shoulders, your arms just start to settle. Release and let go. Very nice. While still seated, just bring your hands behind you and maybe just prop yourself up onto your fingers. And with the arms coming back, again, noticing the shoulders, a nice opening through here. So sometimes we can actually feel quite tight. Right here, it's the tie-in between the shoulder and the chest, because we don't normally have our arms behind us. They're typically in front of us, and that's why it can be tight here. And so as best as you can, arms behind you. We're just going to create a seated mild back bend, a nice heart opener. We're going to feel this stretch across the chest from shoulder to shoulder. We've done this just about every soft flow class, but again, just paying close attention to this sensation. So with fingertips on the floor, shoulders rolled back, we're going to tip the chin up just a little, and we're ready to go. Now inhale, press into the earth with the fingers. Feel an energy shoot up the arms. Breathe in deeply, fill up the lungs. And that's where you might feel that expansion across the chest. Shoulder to shoulder. Then as you exhale, pull your belly button in toward your spine. You might even squeeze your shoulder blades together behind you. That's just activating your upper back muscles. Feel as if you're trying to bring your shoulders together behind you. Of course, that's impossible, but you might also experience this as trying to hold on to a pencil, let's say, right between the shoulder blades or right along the spine, and you're just trying to hold on to it. Again, breathing in, fill up the lungs. Exhale, pull belly in, squeeze that imaginary pencil. Let's do that one more time. And when you're done, just lower your chin, walk your hands towards yourself, let them rest in your lap. Shoulders, arms, and your whole body just relax. Good. Since that was a minor back bend, let's take a minor forward fold. So if your legs are crossed here, you might uncross your legs. I like to come to cobbler's pose or bound angle pose. Let's just bring in the soles of the feet together, the knees stay bent and just kind of pointing out to the sides. Now you might have some space between the floor and you, that's fine. This is where your books or blocks can come in handy. You can even have some small pillows for this part. This just allows the legs to rest on something. So they're just not hanging in space, but they're resting on something, giving you the feeling and true sensation that they're relaxing. Go ahead and hold on to your ankles or shins or even your feet or toes, but you want to be able to sit up tall initially. We'll inhale, feel that lengthening of the spine, even imagine there's a string attached to the crown of your head. Exhale, pull belly in. We're going to hinge forward, leading with the heart and chin just a little bit. Just pausing and start to notice the shift or changes in the sensations in the body. Now I'm now low enough, even though I didn't go very far, to kind of scoop up my toes. Keeping the spine as straight as possible. Inhale, full length of spine. It feels as if I'm trying to lift the torso up off or up out of my pelvis, or even like I'm trying to get out of my seat. And as I exhale, hinge forward just a little bit more. And this is about as far as I'll take it today. Maintaining the lengthened spine, deep breathing, and I do feel sensation, a light stretch in the inner legs. Doesn't feel forced, doesn't feel like I'm overwhelming my body. I feel as if I can hold the pose for a significant amount of time, and that's what you would like to feel as well. It is perfectly fine to lower your chin. You can round your back. Those are all appropriate for this pose as well, allowing you to go a little deeper, just making sure you don't feel like you're forcing yourself into this pose. Let's just take 2 more breaths. When you're ready, just hinge your way back up, taking your time, sitting up nice and tall, and just pause here in stillness. All right, we're going to move our little props out of the way. We're going to come to our hands and knees. So take your time and make your way to hands and knees, a little tabletop position. Here's where you might want to use the blanket or towel underneath you for some padding underneath your hands and knees. So starting in our tabletop position, cat and cow. Inhale, just tip the chin up or look forward. Even feel like your heart is trying to move forward. At the same time, the pelvis is tipping back, creating a back bend, and the belly feels like it's dropping or moving closer towards the floor. That's cow. Then exhale, starting with the back end, tuck the pelvis under, scoop underneath, pull the belly button up towards spine, engaging the core. You'll feel the natural rounding of the spine and chin towards chest. Reverse. Inhale, pelvis tips back, belly drops, heart opens. There's our back bend. Exhale, round it all out. Just continue to breathe and move at your own pace. First, we'll pay attention to the undulation of the spine. Good movement along the entire back body, in addition to the rocking of the pelvis. If it feels good to you, you can even add circles. If you can see me, I'm just creating these circles. You might go clockwise a few times and then counterclockwise, just to circle the hips a little bit if you'd like. And then also do pay attention to the shoulders. Firstly, we are aligning the shoulders over the wrists, and they basically just stay in place. You want to keep the hands and arms straight and strong. But even as we mobilize the spine, moving through the torso like this does affect the shoulders. Even though the arms aren't in motion, know that the torso is attached to the shoulders, or the shoulders are attached to the torso, and so they're being manipulated as well. All right, finish the breath that you're on and take 2 more. And just finish in a tabletop position right here. Now this can fatigue the wrists a little bit, so what I like to do is tuck the toes and sit back a little bit just to start to take the weight off the hands, walk the hands towards self so I can rise up to what I call half hero, just kind of on the propped up toes and a little stretch for the toes here, but really to relieve the wrists. So I like to circle the wrists, flex, drop, wiggle fingers, and even that light pulse of the top of the hand on the soft blanket. Not hard at all, very gently. Okay? Alrighty. Because we are coming back to our hands and knees, but first, let's move our blanket out of the way. We're going to get set up for downward facing dog. So let's return to our tabletop posture. Again, the alignment of shoulders over wrists, but this will change as well. Let's step the hands forward a little bit, spreading out the fingers pretty wide so you feel a stretch between each finger. Press or lean into the hands so the palms are flat as they can on the mat, just to stretch open the hands. You're pressing to also create and maintain strong, straight arms. Tuck your toes. Inhale to cow pose. We just did this. So cow pose. That's the back bend. Exhale, cat pose. Round it out. Hold cat pose. Let's pay attention here. We're going to lift the knees a little bit off the floor. Start to send your hips up into the air, but then notice as the hips go up, chest and head come down between the arms, and notice how this too affects the shoulders. Now, if your shoulders are not very flexible, then the chest may not sink very low, and that's okay. Just be mindful of where your own mobility is with the chest and the shoulders. But we're still pressing firmly into the mat with the hand-strong arms. Even if you seem to be situated out here like this, that's okay. But maybe the hips are high enough where you can get that sinking sensation. What might help is bend the knees and send the hips higher. So a wonderful pose to assess the flexibility of your shoulders, but it also taps into the strength of the shoulders. Okay, we've been here a long time, so let's go ahead and start stepping the feet forward until we're at maybe the center of the mat, and then just slide your fingertips towards your toes. We'll be in a forward fold here. We're going to come to a halfway lift. So inhale and slide your hands up to your shins or knees. Hold on the exhale until you feel about parallel to the floor, something like this. Let's pay attention to our foundation. That's our feet, making sure we're not leaning forward because we don't want to fall forward. We're not sitting back, but just finding that center along the feet here. Knees, okay to be bent, which will affect the hamstrings and thighs and even your core. But trying to maintain this tabletop position. Hold for a moment, take a breath. The next time we get here, we'll see if we can take a forward fold because we want to get into the shoulders again. Shifting your weight now into your heels. Bend your knees to lower your hips like you're sitting down and lifting the chest. We're going to pause here about 45 degrees. Arms out to the side. And we're going to stand up nice and tall here, reaching into the sky. Then exhale, arms come down to your side. So we've made it to our first standing position. This is mountain pose. We'll hold here for a moment. Let's get right back into the focus of our shoulders. So let's circle the shoulders back a few times and then forward. Let's do those shrugs like we did earlier. So shrug the shoulders, lift them up like you're trying to touch your earlobes with your shoulders. And when you exhale, press down. Do that again. Shoulders shrug, lift. Exhale, release. Very good. All right, let's go through our half salute to the sun. That's when we fold forward and come back up. We're going to hold our forward fold and see if we can get into a deeper position to really, again, work with shoulders. Here we go, standing nice and tall. Inhale, extend your arms all the way up. Palms face each other. Exhale, turn the palms down. Shoulders also turn with that. And start to fold forward. So we're bending the knees, hinging at the hips, folding forward. Fingers come down towards toes. Releasing head, neck, and shoulders as you're able, and maybe look between the knees towards the wall behind you. So this is the deep forward fold, but first, inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees. Come to the halfway lift, and then exhale, return to the forward fold. And as you're able, just hang heavily forward. This may mean bend the knees more, that's fine. Release the arms so they just feel heavy. Same with the upper body. Let the head go. Even shake your head. Shake your head. No. Nod yes. And then let's get into the circling of the shoulders again. A couple times backward and then forward. Just to feel that looseness. And even just imagine that any tightness or tension that you might be holding in your shoulders or neck or even your back are just rolling down off of your body into the ground. Okay, let's return to standing. So start to shift your weight back into your heels. Bend your knees, lower your hips. Now your back might be rounded, so what I might suggest is bring your hands to your knees or thighs. Press. to help you lift to this 45-degree angle. Coming to a chair-like pose. If you can, take the arms out to the side and continue standing. Just drive the heels into the floor until you're straight and tall, reaching the arms all the way up. Then exhale, arms back down. Very nice. If you'd like, you can just kind of shake that out or circle the shoulders again. All right, we like to do a variation of Warrior 1 and even Warrior 2, getting into lunges, so working the lower half of the body, but we'll continue to highlight some things in the shoulders. So come to the top of the mat, but leave a little space between your toes and the front edge of your mat. This is our mountain pose here. Nice and tall, nice long neck, and your gaze is forward. Shoulders are relaxed, arms are down by your side. But what you can do in mountain pose, typically you might just have your arms relaxed to your side. This is fine, but you can even activate by kind of flipping the palms forward. And this also does this outer rotation of the shoulders a little bit, which might even improve your posture. I don't know if you can see this, it's subtle. It rolls back and down, and it just kind of opens up across the chest. Here we go, follow me. We're going to soften the knees a little bit. Shift weight into right foot. Lean forward a little bit so that this left foot feels pretty light. I'm going to lift the heel and then just tap this left foot back right here. And just as far as it can go, actually, just until it naturally stops. And I'm going to use my arm as an example of what's happening with the leg. You're going to do this outer turn of the leg. So the leg is turning outward so you can plant the heel into the floor. I just use the arm as an example, but the leg is doing kind of the same thing up here. And you're centered on both feet, a little distance between the feet. Go ahead and place your hands on your hips. You want to feel as if you're trying to push your pelvis down towards the floor. At the same time, try to get tall. And then it just creates a little space in the belt line so you can turn the face forward. Want to keep a nice bend in the front knee and a little bit in that back knee. And so we're facing forward. Now together, go ahead and inhale and extend the arms up into the air. And this exhale will bend the elbows here to about 45 degrees or 90 degrees right here. And just to get a little bit more opening across the chest, that tie-in again of the shoulder to chest, you're going to pull the arms back. Even imagine like you're in a doorway and the arms are kind of trapped in the door jamb there and you're trying to go through, alrighty? So you might even feel sensation across the shoulder and chest space. Now inhale, extend the arms up into the air, straight lines. Exhale, bring the arms out and down. Go ahead and bring the hands to hips. Let's transition to a Warrior 2. I'm just going to lean and put weight into my right foot so that left foot feels light enough where I can lift the heel and just step back. I'm just taking a step back, that's all. Just putting a little bit more distance between the feet. Let's go ahead and re-extend the arms forward and up. We're kind of passing through a Warrior 1, but you're going to exhale, turn your torso towards the left side of the room as your arms come down to parallel. Let's hold here for a moment. Let's get our legs and feet in the right place. We're going to continue with this outer rotation of this back leg. I'm just using my arm as an example and just turn it out. So my toes are kind of pointing out that way. It just nicely opens the hips. We have a nice knee bend here. Nice and tall in the torso, and then the extended arms reach. So they're parallel to the floor. Now, if we hold here for quite a long time, it's going to fatigue the shoulders. And I think in doing so, we're not going to hold it very long, but I'm just thinking about the endurance that we build in the shoulders by keeping the arms lifted as they are. 3 more breaths. You can already start to feel them fatigue a little bit. All right, go ahead and bring the arms down just to relax. Feel free to give them a little circle if you'd like. Shake that tension away. And go ahead and place hands on hips. I'm going to start to turn to face forwards, which means this back leg is turning forward. I'm leaning or putting weight into this front foot, picking up the back foot so I can step together, both feet at the top of the mat, nice and tall. Let's go ahead and extend both arms up into the air. Exhale, arms return to your side, and we're done. We're going to do the other side. We're going to, again, just activate the hands, get the outer rotation of the arms to open up through the shoulders. Soften the knees, and then shift weight into your left foot. Lean forward a little bit so we can lighten up the right foot, lift the heel, and start tapping that foot back until it naturally stops. Doesn't have to go back far at all. Same outer turn of that right leg to plant the foot into the floor completely, and now we're balanced on 2 feet like this. Hands on hips, push pelvis down as you feel the torso rise to make space across the belt line. And this should allow us to turn to face forward, or mostly forward, towards this front left knee and toes. Inhale, extend both arms up into the air. Exhale, let's bend the elbows to 90 degrees. And then walk through the imaginary doorway and feel that opening across the chest, perhaps affecting the shoulders. Couple breaths here. Now, inhale, let's re-extend the arms straight up into the air. Exhale, bring the arms down to your side. Actually, down to your hips. There we go. Let's lean forward. Let's put weight into the left foot so we can lift the right foot or right heel and just take a step back as we get ready for Warrior 2. Let's return to Warrior 1 by extending the arms forward and up. That's an inhale. Exhale, turn torso towards right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel, and there we are. I'm going to do the same thing with this back leg, just kind of opening up a bit for a little bit more balance. We do want to make sure the left knee is bent and pointing forward. Arms extended. Take a look at them just to see if they're parallel to the floor, because sometimes that back arm likes to drop. And we'll hold here for several breaths, working with the endurance of our shoulders. 2 more breaths. Even if they get a little fatigued, see if you can breathe through it. And then relax. Bring the arms down and feel that change from the active arms and shoulders to a little bit more relaxed. Go ahead and place hands on hips. We'll turn to face forward. I'm turning this back leg in a little bit, like so. Leaning into this left foot so I can pick up the back foot and step forward, feet together. Inhale, extend the arms into the air. And exhale, arms return to your side. And another circle here. Very good. All righty. Let's move through a full sun salutation. We will take our time. We're still breaking things down and continue working through our sun salutation, awareness of the shoulders. Here we go. Inhale, extend both arms all the way up into the air. Treat it like a nice stretch. Exhale, spread your wings so palms turn out and down. Bend your knees, sit back into an imaginary chair. Lower yourself until your belly comes down towards thighs. Let the arms and hands come down. Release head, neck, and shoulders, and as you're able, look between your knees. Inhale, slide your hands up to your shins or knees to extend your spine, rising up halfway. Exhale, fold. Now we're folding enough to reach the floor with the hands, so you might need to bend your knees a bit more and round your back more. Hands to the mat and that space between your toes and the front edge of your mat. And start stepping or walking the feet back. Take as much time as you need to get here. So we're just lowering the hips just to shoulder level. This is plank pose. It works the entire body. Let's pay attention to the upper body, particularly the shoulders. Hands pressed firmly into the floor, strong straight arms, active arms and shoulders here in this pose. Inhale. As you exhale, bend the knees a little bit, send the hips slowly into the sky. This is where the chest sinks between the arms until it naturally stops. But remember, this is affecting the shoulders. This also depends on how flexible and mobile the shoulders are currently. Don't worry if they're not very flexible at the moment. Over time, as you practice yoga consistently and do poses like this, you'll find that release.
From here, we're going to step the left foot a little bit towards center on the mat for balance and stability. I'm going to pick up the right foot off the mat. Inhale, extend the right leg straight back. Doesn't have to lift high, just straighten the leg in the air. Exhale, bend this right knee, bring the right knee in underneath you towards your chest, shifting your whole upper body forward until your shoulders are aligned over the wrist, but then set the right foot down, just the toes, and then set the left knee down. We're going to pull the body weight back so we can get the pressure off the hands for a moment. Pick up the right hand. I'm going to reach back, go get my right foot because it's way back here. Pick it up and place it up a little higher on the mat, maybe just behind the right hand. Lean forward so I can pick up the left knee. There we go. Here's that outer rotation of that back leg. I'm just turning the leg to get the heel on the floor. But I'm not balanced. I really can't stand from here. So I'm going to step my hands back, shifting the body weight back. See, I'm pulling my body weight back, making sure this right knee and toes are still pointing forward. I can kind of rise to fingertips. I'm extending my spine. Climb up the leg. I'm just bringing both hands up to the thigh. When I press into the mid-thigh, not the knee, try to get to the mid-thigh because it's a stronger set of muscles there. Lifting to about 45 degrees. Let's just be certain we've got a good anchor effect with that back foot really pressed into the floor. If you can, free your hands, reach forward and rise up, reach straight up into the air. Finish with a little extra lunge in front. Alrighty. Now before in Warrior One we had less distance. Now we have more distance between the feet. And the first time we bent our elbows. We're going to keep the arms straight up, again affecting the arms and shoulders here. Let's breathe in. Exhale, turn torso towards left side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Now the distance between the feet might be just fine, but you might need to turn that whole leg out, toes pointing outward rather than inward for a little bit more release in the hips. Let's add a pose here. First, we're going to bend this arm here to about 90 degrees. Reach forward. Okay, I'm just kind of leaning towards this right knee to angle the upper half of the body. And I'm going to rotate the arms. Now, my right arm, if it doesn't reach the leg, maybe just bring your hand here. But maybe you can slowly lower yourself to bring the forearm to the thigh. But we're not going to drop into this, okay? We just want to feel very light. What I like to think of is you've got a paintbrush and you're painting the bench lightly, okay? So there's no weight, not a lot of weight. The energy is up, okay? Using this left arm, how it affects the arm, the shoulder. So we're not dropping into this right shoulder or arm or leg, the lightness of opening up. We're going to change this left arm in the air overhead, just a different feeling through the shoulder, back, and the side of the body. Breathe in right here. Exhale, carefully turn towards the floor. Bring the arms down. I'm going to match it with the right arm. Come down, land on the hands. Rise up onto the tiptoes behind right there so everything is facing forward. Your hips are square and aligned. I'm pushing firmly into the floor with the hands, strong arms, strong shoulders, even lifting the hips up as much as you can. They won't lift very high. We're just trying to get some of the weight off the right foot so we can slide the right foot back. And there's our plank pose. All right, we're going to take a little break here. Let's bring the knees to the floor. Tuck the toes. Sit back, get the weight off the hands for a moment, and come to our half hero. Let's check in with the wrists. So any movement or gesturing that will help to relieve the wrists, or even check in with shoulders. Maybe a little circle here. Forward and back a few times. Alrighty, so that's our sun salutation working through our Warrior One, Warrior Two, when we added the side angle pose. All right, let's do the other side. So let's start in our tabletop position here, hands and knees on the ground. Initially, again, your wrist might be directly underneath the shoulders, but we'll step the hands forward, spread out your fingers, lean a little bit into the palms, flat palms, strong straight arms. Tuck your toes. Inhale, lift head and chest, arching the back. It's cow pose like we did earlier. Exhale, round it out. Hold cat. Make sure your arms are straight and strong. Lift the knees. As the hips lift up into the air, notice the chest coming down, head and chest sinking between the arms as best as you can. Other side, we're going to step the right foot to center on the mat for balance and stability. As we now pick up the left foot, then inhale, extend the left leg back behind us. Exhale, bend this left knee. Bring it forward underneath you, shifting forward until your shoulders are restacked over the wrists. Set the left foot down, just your toes. Set the right knee down. The weight is probably forward. We need to pull away from the hands so we can lighten up the hands. Reach and go get the left foot. Place it higher up on the mat, somewhere behind the wrist. Left wrist is fine. Lean into the hands again so I can pick up the right knee. Outer rotation of the right foot or leg so we can plant the heel into the floor. Stepping the hands back so I can put more weight and pressure into that back foot. We're checking in with left knee and toes are pointing forward. And let's go ahead and climb up the leg. Remember, get the hands to the thigh. A little bit more supportive there, lifting to about 45 degrees so we can get that fully extended torso and spine. Also check in with the back foot, nice anchoring. As you're able, reach forward. Hinge, rising up into your tall perpendicular to the floor. Reaching high, don't forget the little extra lunge to finish. Here we are in Warrior One. Couple breaths here just to feel the sensations of this pose and how it might feel different from our original version. Let's breathe in. Exhale, turn torso towards right side of the room. Arms come down to parallel. Let's check in with that back leg. I'm turning the leg out, toes turn out for a little bit more space in the hips. Here's our Warrior Two. We're going to hold here for a moment. We're going to get ready for that side angle pose. So we're working with endurance in the shoulders. All right, now we're going to bend this left arm about 90 degrees, leading with the forearm towards the front knee or front edge of the mat to angle the upper half of the body, and then rotate. Now again, if your arm doesn't reach the leg, you can just place the hand here, or as you're able, lower so you can get the arm on the leg. Remember, we're not weighted, we're not dropping into this pose. See if you can paint the bench. Use the energy of this extended arm to open. Now the legs and hips are also doing work here to help you stay lifted and not weighted into the leg with this arm. We're going to take the right arm overhead like so, just a different sensation for the shoulder. Ready to come out, we'll breathe in. Exhale, a careful turn. I'm going to bring the arms down, match it with the other. Flip the palms open so I can lower myself to the floor with spread out fingers. Rise up onto the tiptoes, heel lifted, aligned hips. Push firmly into the floor, straight arms. Lifted hips as best as you can. Slide left foot back, plank. So we've made it back to plank pose for more strength building. Hold. All right, let's bring the knees to the floor. We're going to sit back, but only briefly in a full hero, so I haven't tucked my toes under. Just briefly to get a little quick stretch in the ankles and feet, then off to the side and swing the legs around to the front. All right, we're going to do a little bit of floor work, and we're going to come back to some more strength work for the shoulders, okay? So this is where we're going to need our stacked books or blocks. We're going to do a back bend. Back bends are heart openers. It does affect the shoulders. Going back to that idea of opening up in this space, that tie-in of muscles and ligaments, etc., from the shoulder right into the pectoral muscles here. So making sure you're sitting in the center of your mat. Carefully roll down onto your back. You might even bring knees with you towards your chest. Just catch them in your hands. You do want to be sure you can easily reach your props. This is a wonderful opportunity to release and relax the body. Maybe a little circling. Even checking with your feet, just like we circled the shoulders, getting into the shoulder joints.
Get into your ankle joints here too, so maybe add some movement there. All right, ready for our bridge pose. We'll set the feet down onto the mat, make sure they're well connected to the ground. You can easily get your blocks. Take a breath in, fill up the lungs. Exhale through your mouth so you can feel the air leave your belly. We're also engaging the muscles of the belly, and then peel away from the floor. So lifting hips just high enough so you can slide your books or blocks underneath you. One book is fine, especially if it's a thick book or a thick block. I've got 2 thin blocks, so I'm going to use 2 and just sit. And so we're just going to be settled here. And this is a nice opening, a gentle opening for the front body, especially in the thighs and hip flexors. Let's also think about the shoulders here, because it feels kind of flat, and I don't feel that stretch I would like from that shoulder to chest tie-in. So what I'll do, I'll kind of lean to my right so I get this shoulder's free, and I'm going to try to get that shoulder underneath. It's like when we were sitting, we brought the arms behind us. It's the same effect. And then I put weight on that side, free up this one, and do the same thing. Try to get underneath. It's like I'm still squeezing the shoulder blades together or holding onto that pencil along the spine. And then from here, now I feel more opened. So even though we're sitting on the block, we can still experience the back bend benefits of this pose. It also allows us to hold the pose a little longer too. Otherwise, we would be just kind of holding ourselves up without the assistance of the props. Let's take 3 more breaths. And as with these breaths, make them deep, audible breaths. Feel the breath like we did earlier. Feel how your body is responding to the breath, listening to the sound of the breath. There we go. All right. Now, pressing feet firmly into the floor, lift the hips high enough so you can move the books or blocks out from underneath you. Carefully come back down to the floor. You might need to also kind of rock left and right several times to get the arms and shoulders out from underneath you. And then you'll feel flat on the ground again. And we'll pause. Go ahead and draw both knees into chest. Carefully roll to one side so you can press yourself up to seated. All right, let's do a little strength work here. Do your best with this. There's some poses in yoga called side plank, and so we're going to do some variations of that. Let's start with hands and knees, shoulders over wrists like we did a little earlier. We'll step the hands forward slightly, tuck toes. Inhale just to extend the spine. You're not necessarily doing cow pose. Exhaling, pull belly in, a little scoop of the pelvis just to engage the abdominal system, and just lift the knees. So you're back in plank pose. So we're holding plank for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're just going to bring just the right knee to the floor. I'm going to tap the right foot, swing it over to the right side. I'm creating what I call a kickstand. I'm going to put some weight into my right hand so I can free up the left hand and open up sideways, bringing this left hand into the air, keeping the left foot on the floor. I'm on the edge, the inside edge of my left foot. Now there is some pressure in this right hand, but we want to send energy up into this extended hand so you don't feel as weighted, okay, in this right hand and arm. So more endurance, strength, okay, as we build into this right shoulder, in this case, in this side plank pose with the variation. Let's inhale. Exhale, carefully return to the floor with the left hand. I'm going to bring my left knee to the floor, bring my kickstand back in, even tuck your toes under. Let's get off the wrists, sit back briefly into our half hero, and maybe relieve the hands and the wrist, especially the right hand here, since a lot of the weight was carried in that right hand. Okay, so we did plank, moving into side plank variation, feeling the energy and strength in the shoulder as you use part of that, as well as the rest of your body to help hold you in place. Let's do the other side. All right, so back to hands and knees. Strong straight arms, spread out your fingers. I'm stepping the hands forward a little bit. Tuck toes. Strong straight arms, lengthen spine. Inhale. Exhale, a little tuck of the pelvis to engage core so I can lift the knees off the floor, and here's my plank pose. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to set the left knee onto the floor, directly underneath the hip if possible for balance. I'm swinging the left foot off to the side so I have more stability, more weight into the left hand so I can free the right hand and open up sideways. It's like I'm opening to reach up into the air. My right foot's on the floor. It's the inside edge of the right foot, but really actively reaching upward. You even feel like you're pushing away from the floor, but you don't want to feel like all the weight is here. Yes, there is pressure here. You will feel this, but there's this idea of you're taking some of that energy up and away. Let's breathe in. Exhale, we'll carefully return to the floor with the hand, the right knee. Bring the left kickstand back in. Tuck toes. Let's sit back again, and let's relieve the left hand. All right, we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to be on our forearms. And this might be a nice variation for this pose if that's too much pressure on the wrist. Just see. Okay, let's set this up. Let's bring the hands out in front of us. I'm going to step the knees back this time, so they're out from underneath the hips. I'm going to lower myself down to my elbows or forearms like this. And at the moment, they're parallel to one another. I'm going to tap my right hand and swing it to the inside. Okay? I'm leaning into my right arm. I'm also kind of making another kickstand with my right foot, and it's almost kind of matching the angle of my right arm. I'm going to prop myself up on this left hand, okay? Just put the hand on the floor so I can just kind of feel lifted right here. So you can see I'm on my elbow, on my forearm. I've cut this 90-degree angle of this arm on the floor. I'm picking up this left knee, extending the leg back, and trying to turn sideways here. Now we're doing a variation of this. Keeping the hand, this left hand, and even fingertips on the floor. My right knee is on the floor, but trying to open up sideways as best as I can. Now, so this is our variation of that first version we did. So we have the forearm on the floor, so it doesn't feel like I'm putting as much pressure on the shoulder, but I'm still adding strength to that side. And I've got a little bit more stability. I've got the arm and hand, foot, knee, and even this back foot and left hand on the floor for balance. Okay? I'm going to bring everything back to center, bring in the left knee down, left forearm down, swing this right foot back in, returning to that initial state. Other side, I'm going to swing this left palm inward, lean over to that side, make a kickstand with my left foot because I might need it. Right hand, palm just pressing into the floor just to help lift myself up. I'm going to extend my right leg back, keeping the toes on the floor, and just starting to turn open a little bit, just as far as the body will kind of take me. I could take this right arm into the air, okay? But just for the variation, keep the hand on the floor. This is still some wonderful strength building, okay, in the shoulder area, but with just some extra support. That's all. A couple more breaths. And I'm going to bring everything back down to the floor. Alrighty, back up onto the hands. Now either come to a half hero or a full hero. Now we're going to do something here, but we're going to do the same thing while lying on the floor, but I'm going to show you this way so you can actually see what I'm doing, and we can do it together. We're going to extend the arms out to the side like so, and just bring them in for a hug, okay? And just like this. And so you might even grab the shoulders and kind of reach back, so like you're giving yourself the biggest hug possible. And I can feel my fingers kind of reach way to the back side of my shoulders here to my back body. Now I'm going to also pay attention to which arm is on top. In this case, it's my left arm that's on top. That just felt more natural initially. And then we're going to release, open, give yourself another hug, but switch the arms. So now my left arm is on the bottom. Now this might feel different, and it certainly does. And the same thing, we're just kind of creeping the fingers far back. And this is kind of giving a stretch in the back portion of the shoulders. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on the floor lying down. I just wanted to show you here. Okay, go ahead and release, and there we go. All right, let's go ahead and lie down. So come to the center of the mat. We're going to do a few things first. But sit in the center of your mat, roll down onto your back, bring knees into chest, and hold on to the knees with your hands. Now you might notice when you hold onto the knees or shins, like this with the legs drawn in, there might be some space underneath the shoulders. Okay, maybe very natural. But let's do this. Create a light flex with the feet. Start taking the legs wide, but notice the arms and see if you can bring the legs wide enough, but the arms open enough to get the shoulders on the floor. Maybe even the backs of the arms, it'll be your triceps on the floor. So we're in this, what I call a variation of happy baby pose, but trying to get as flat on the ground as possible, seeing and feeling what is connected to the floor. For me, I feel just about my entire back. I can feel my low back, my mid back, even my upper back, and that's mainly because I've opened the arms enough to get the backs of the shoulders on the floor. So it's the back of the shoulders, triceps, and elbows. That's what's making contact with the earth at this moment. Okay, let's bring the knees together, and that probably will bring the arms off the floor. Let's take a twist. We'll send the knees over to the left side. I like to extend the right arm straight up and then out to the right side. Now with that extension of the arm, just notice how that feels in the shoulder. Because it's a light pull in that shoulder to chest tie-in. Just a few breaths here. And of course, we're creating this spinal twist, which may affect the hips, your back, and perhaps the shoulder. 2 more breaths. And then we'll bring the knees back up to center. Pause for a moment. And we'll do the other side. So we'll send the knees over to the right side. Then extend the left arm straight up. You don't have to do that. You can just take it straight out to the left side. I like to take it up and then out and down. And I feel that stretch. Now, because I'm really quite rotated here, so I'm feeling a little extra pull that's creating this funny little tingle in my shoulder right down to my arm and hand. So I'm paying attention to that. So what I might do is just, rather than taking the arm straight out to the side, because that's where I'm feeling that, I'm just adjusting and just maybe decreasing that angle and just bringing the arm down a little bit. And that feels a little bit better. So make those adjustments. What I like about yoga, it really helps us to be more attentive to the subtleties of our own bodies. All right, 2 more breaths. Let's go ahead and bring the knees back up to center. Hug. And then we'll set the feet onto the floor, keeping the knees bent. You can certainly extend the legs if you'd like, but this is fine, knees bent. And we're going to do that hug, that big bear hug like we did earlier. Let's take both arms straight up into the air, and then give yourself a hug. Wrapping yourself in your own arms, holding onto the shoulders and try to crawl towards the back of the shoulders. And once again, notice which arm is on top or in front. Feeling that light stretch perhaps in the rear portion of the shoulders, but also noticing where else you might experience sensation. One more breath. I'm going to unhug, re-extend the arms straight up, reposition the arms, and then hug in the other way. Taking about 5 breaths for each hug. And when you feel complete, unhug, re-extend the arms straight up. You might turn the palms so they're facing forward towards your knees, and then just bring the arms and hands down to the side. Go ahead and extend the legs if they're not extended already. Now it's okay to keep the palms down, but just like in mountain pose, that standing position, you can activate the hands or turn the palms forward. Just like in standing, this will kind of get a natural outer rotation of the arm and shoulder. So we even have good posture while lying flat on the floor in Shavasana. We'll take a few deep breaths here just to help the body to completely settle. I can just feel my body go heavy, like I'm sinking into the ground. As best as you can, disengaging the muscles, letting them completely relax. For this, you can close your eyes if you'd like, or just keep your eyes softly opened, nice soft eyelids, as you return to meditation. We're still aware of the breath. It might be a little bit more quiet. The movements in the body are a little bit more subtle, but pay attention. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like, especially if you feel quite relaxed and you really need this moment of relaxation, this quiet time for self, then take advantage of it. Spend more time here. You certainly deserve it. When you're ready to move, take 5 slow, deep breaths. Sensational breathing. Intentional breathing. And that intention is to bring movement and a new energy back into your body. First, noticing the subtle movements of the body, then the more obvious movements. Make them more obvious. And only when you're ready to move in slow motion. I like to start by bending the knees to plant the feet, which is going to help me to maneuver my body to the side. I have to kind of lift the hips, kind of shift them to the side so I can roll to one side. And using a hand to help press and lift and come to seated. If you still have a blanket or a pillow nearby, you can sit on your soft cushion and then cross your legs as best as you can and sit up nice and tall. One last movement together, focusing on shoulders and breath. Inhale, extend the arms out and up. Then exhale, bring your palms together and down to your heart. Take one more full and complete breath here on your own. And as we come to the close of our practice together, we bow, saying, Namaste. Thank you so much for watching and participating in this yoga lesson. To help us with the channel so we can continue to bring you more content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's really appreciated. Namaste.